Hey cats, it's your Midsole man, Eddbud here. Today I've got a shoe review for you. This is the Ghost Max 3 from Brooks, a maxed out impact protector for the road. How does it hold up though against something like the Ghost 17? What more does it have on offer? Let's find out. Thanks for tuning in, it's always appreciated. If you haven't done so already, do hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like. Drop us a comment down below to help with the YouTube algorithm. Danke schön. This is a shoe that Brooks have sent me for review, but they're not paying me to make this video, and they won't be vetting my views before my valued viewers get to see them. Stats wise, I've got 360 grams here, or 12.7 ounces in my UK 11 or US 12. In the heel, we've got a 42mm midsole stack, and up front in the forefoot, around about 36mm. So it's about a 6mm drop here in the Ghost Max 3. The sample size statistics are on screen right now for you if you want to know them. We have a removable Ortholite insole within this one. I found in the midsoles coming in at about Shore A 26, which is kind of the average across all the midsole softness scores that I've found over the last few years. And the rubber is a little tougher than usual at Shore A 67. This one is 145 earth credits here in the UK. We'll kick the review off with the upper first. So certainly not the thickest, but not the most minimal either. Slightly plusher than you would get on a standard daily trainer. I found the fit to be very good though, even though we've got those thicker laces that I'm sometimes not a fan of. The tongue here on the Ghost Max 3 is a little bit short, I would suggest, if you're going to use the final lace eyelets here. Though we've got 3 eyelets rather than 2 at the very final sort of eyelet section. So if you want to do a runner's knot, you could use the third and second to last eyelets and perhaps get a little bit less lace pressure around the top of the foot. There's some reinforced sort of rubbery material there to provide a bit of extra strength. There's a significant heel counter here. It does stretch round quite a way, though I would suggest that the actual profile of the heel and ankle area is a little bit lower. It reminds me of the Glycerin Max from Brooks, and oddly of the Pegasus 36 from several years back now. Just means that it doesn't inhibit the movement of the ankle there. I find that the shoe just stays out of the way, which is really nice. Otherwise, just feels like quite a natural shoe really. It's a nice easy going fit, simple to get a good lockdown. You don't have to cinch the laces in too much. It's not too warm on foot. I mean, it's been very hot here in the UK, starting to cool down a bit now. Good flexibility in the toe box area, and the overlays that we've got here on the lateral side are anywhere near as thick as the ones found on the Glycerin Max. Never quite work out why Brooks opted for such thick overlays there with that Brooks logo. This is a little bit thinner. If you're gonna grab this one, I would suggest going true to size. No need to go up or down a half size in the Ghost Max 3. After my initial runs, I'll give this one a 2.6 out of 3 for the upper. Midsole now. The midsole here is DNA Loft. It's a little bit denser perhaps than some of the other midsoles you might have tried. It's not like your super squashy out and out marshmallow stuff here. If you like Fuel Cell or Incredi-Run, then yeah, this is going to be a little bit denser. There's a little bit more consistency to it. It's more for impact protection rather than like a trampoline. I've got to be honest, with my aging frame that spent far too long searching around on the floor looking for bits of Transformer mix mashers or like particular Lego bricks, I need consistency and familiarity these days in my recovery shoes. I don't want something that's like a quicksand marshmallow trampoline underfoot. That's just not going to work for me. Feels really nice on easier efforts, perhaps some recovery efforts for me. I find it really stable, consistent, and oddly quite light on foot, even though it's actually one of the heavier shoes I've tested. I always think of shoe weight these days a little bit differently than like the Eddbud of like 5 or 6 years ago did. I find it about balance, and I think the different parts of the shoe are sort of more well balanced this time round in terms of the upper, midsole and outsole. Sometimes you get a shoe and it's like all the weight's in the bottom section of it, and then that just feels really kind of clunky really, like it's just hard to lift your feet, whereas here it's a little bit more balanced around all the individual bits. As such, it feels easier to lift your legs up. It's not so much of a chore, just feels a little bit more versatile than some of the other Max cushion options. I do find the Brooks midsole materials to be very, very durable. There's some good longevity here. I get a lot of viewers chiming in the comments saying how perhaps Brooks midsoles aren't always the most exciting, but they deliver a great amount of value in terms of the midsole. They just keep on going. That max stack of 42mm I've got in my pair with that 6mm drop is really natural, just seems to keep the shoe out of the way of whatever I'm doing. I don't have to sort of adapt the way I'm running in this shoe. It's not one of those very controlling options. Those 10mm stacks these days just don't really work all that well for me. The lower drop options just seem a lot more natural. So great shoe for impact protection here. It's not full of spring and bounce, but I think a lot of people don't want that. They want something that's a lot more stable and consistent. I think you're going to get that in the Ghost Max 3. I'll give the midsole 2.5 out of 3 so far, just not perhaps the versatility I'm always after. Outsole wise, well, there's certainly lots of it. It's a very thick application here through the forefoot right to the heel. It's perhaps one area where they could have gone down the Ghost 17 route and had that outsole here rather than the very thick application. I mean, it's going to take you years to wear this thing down. Just feels like overkill to me a little bit. I went out on some very wet, debris laden trails and I got loads of grit, muck and bits and bobs stuck in here. It was very difficult to clean. The ridges are very tightly packed. I had to get some brushes out and get rid of it all just to make it a bit more presentable for you here on YouTube. In wet weather, the outsole worked very well on road and pavement. I wouldn't suggest it's like a trail shoe, not a light trail shoe either. They provide some decent traction on some muddy areas, but it's certainly a shoe for more consistent kind of terrain and surfaces. Rubber here seems durable enough, slightly higher in terms of the softness rating. It's a little bit harder. I can see the rubber depth here lasting for a long time, many miles, a little bit above some of the softer, almost foam-like rubbers we've had on some of the Max Cushion shoes. I'll give it a 2.5 out of 3 for the outsole. Perhaps just too much, really. At 145 Earth credits here in the UK, I think the Ghost Max 3 is going to appeal to a very specific sort of set of runners. This is a touch cheaper than the Femero Plus, but it's a lot more consistent and stable. That shoe is actually quite soft once you've broken it in, and I think the 45mm stack, or even higher actually, if you're in the higher sizes, it's just going to put a few people off. Remember, soft isn't always great. That's not exactly what people want out there. For many people, they don't want to sort of sink right into the foam and have it throw them off in a certain direction. If you want impact absorption and perhaps less bounce, then the Ghost Max 3 could be good. The quality on these really nice out the box actually. I haven't received a duff one from Brooks. Always well put together. No sort of dodgy glue marks or misaligned parts. Perhaps not the most exciting model out there, and certainly perhaps not the most versatile either, but I think there's lots to enjoy here if you just want a plush ride. It's very steady, that's stable, a nice balance between the plush upper and perhaps that cushioned, steady, rolling sort of feel. A recommendation, I think, for the heavier runners that perhaps have a slightly wider foot, on a little bit more toe box width. That extra space there could be important, but don't be put off if you're a narrow-footed runner either. I found these to be absolutely fine, and I didn't even have to cinch those laces in too much. So well built and an upgrade over the standard Ghost 17. I'll give it a 2.6 out of 3 for value so far. If I've totaled the scores up correctly for the Brooks Ghost Max 3, we've got a 10.2 out of 12. Are you a fan of the Brooks Ghost Max model? What is your go-to easy to recovery day shoe? Let me know down in the comments. A very quick musical interlude for you. Today comes from The Cribs with their track We Share the Same Skies from the album Ignore the Ignorant. I love this track. Kicks off with a legendary riff from the guitar god himself, Johnny Marr. Did like a collab with the band on this album, and there's some fantastic playing here, really good guitar sounds. He always seems to have some riffs up his sleeve somewhere, and you know, someone says, "Oh, Johnny, have you got any good riffs?" He's like, yeah, I got this one. And they always seem to be winners. He's produced some fantastic stuff over the last 12 years with his solo material. And if anything, actually, this song, We Share the Same Skies, sounds like something that he could have written yesterday. I love the mixing on this album as well. The vocals nice and high. You can actually hear the lyrics for once, which these days you really struggle to hear some of them. They're buried in the mix. Perhaps it's because there's not really an awful lot to say in some of them, but I really love this one. We Share the Same Skies by the Cribs. Thank you for tuning in, people. Always appreciated. Hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like. Also drop us a comment for that YouTube algorithm. My name's Eddbud and I'll be seeing you. And that was the second time I did this review, because when I did it the first time I forgot to plug the microphone in. So there we go. I think it was a lot better and more concise the second time anyway. Hey people, been reviewing the Brooks Ghost Max 3. More of the same really with this line from Brooks. Model certainly got a lot of cushion, a little bit more consistent than some of the other softer foams that are out there. Certainly a slightly more stable shoe than a few others. I think if you like the Ghost Max or the Ghost Max 2, then you're certainly going to like this one. I'm feeling that the upper's a little bit more dialed in this time for my slightly narrow foot, but there's loads of width up there in the toe box. If you have a wider foot, could be an absolutely great option for easy day or perhaps a recovery session.